So welcome guys back to another episode of Arsenal Transfer News Daily, that show that keeps you up to date with all players that are linked with the summer transfer move to Arsenal and away from Arsenal. And today we have some news regarding that man there, Jarrod Bowen, as reports are suggesting that talks have begun between Arsenal's and Jarrod Bowen's camp over a summer move. Now, Arsenal have been interested in Jarrod Bowen, as Arsenal are looking for a winger to compete with Bukayo Saka. Nicola Pepe looks like he could be on the way out, with teams like Newcastle and Leicester City from England interested, as well as Sevilla and Olympique Lyonnais in Europe also holding an interest in the Ivorian winger. Jarrod Bowen is viewed as a replacement who scored double-digit goals in the Premier League last season, has made his debut for England, and is a big admirer and player that Arteta and the Arsenal board do admire a lot. Now, a potential price for Jarrod Bowen could be probably, there hasn't been a price touted around for Jarrod Bowen, but I would think it would be in excess of £50 million at least. He's a player that is in England international. He did score double digits in the Premier League last season, and is a player that West Ham do not want to sell as they build their squad ahead of trying to challenge for European spots next season. So he's probably a player that West Ham do not want to sell, as likewise with someone like Declan Rice that they have. So it'd be a very difficult deal to do, because obviously for obvious reasons West Ham would not want to sell. So Arsenal would probably have to put a lot of money on the table, probably more than what they actually offered for Rafinha, who's now off to Barcelona, obviously. But I think for me, I really like the profile of Jarrod Bowen. I think he's a player that could genuinely challenge Bukayo Saka for a spot on that team. Now, I'll definitely take him. I think Arsenal probably would take him as well. But would the player want to come? I think that's one important thing, because we have to remember that this is a World Cup year, and Jarrod Bowen would have to join Arsenal knowing that Bukayo Saka is the starter. He is the starter, and Jarrod Bowen plays in the same position as Saka, and Saka's the starter for England as well. So he would have to challenge him for that spot. And if Bowen wants to make the World Cup squad or play frequently in the World Cup, he would need to play frequent football, which he can at West Ham, but he can't at Arsenal, which isn't guaranteed at Arsenal. So I think it's that difference that could sway Jarrod Bowen to staying at West Ham and would make a potential deal very difficult. I think that is a very key factor when it comes to signing players, especially English players at the moment, because obviously they want to try and fight hard to get into the World Cup squad. An alternative, I think, would be Leicester City's Harvey Barnes. Now, we're already interested in Yuri Tielemans, but I really like the profile of Harvey Barnes as well. I think he's a player that can play right wing as well, and could challenge both Martinelli on that left-hand side and could challenge Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side. But I do feel as if we 100% do need a midfielder, because, we do need a winger, because we need a bit more strength and depth in that position, especially if Nicola Pepe were to leave, and he's not very fancied by the manager either. So that's what I'm thinking on Jarrod Bowen. A deal that would be very difficult to do, logistically very difficult to do. Could be possible. I'll definitely take him. Harvey Barnes could be a potential alternative. But that's the news on Jarrod Bowen. Next bit of news, two tiny bits of news. William Saliba has reportedly agreed an extension at Arsenal, as well as Arsenal offering an extension for Bukayo Saka. Now, Arsenal reportedly offering Bukayo Saka upwards of £100,000 a week in an attempt to make him stay. For William Saliba, a deal has not been signed yet, but an extension has been agreed. Now, firstly, let's start off with William Saliba, and I just want to say that I'm a very big fan of this player. I am in awe of this player. I think he's a player that would definitely improve our team by tenfold, especially in that centre-back area. He's miles clear of Ben White, just from what I've seen already from pre-season games. As I record this, the Chelsea game's in about an hour, so I'll talk about that game when we next do one of these videos. But what I want to say on William Saliba is I'm very happy that he's agreed the extension. He's tying down his long-term future at Arsenal, and if we were to try and sell him, we could ask for close to £100 million, obviously. So he's a player that we can get a lot of profit for if we want to sell him, but I don't think we should. He's a player that walks straight into our starting 11. His relationship with Gabriel at the centre-back area already looks quite solidified, as we saw in the last season game against Orlando. I'd like to see that continue in the game against Chelsea in about an hour. By the time this video comes out, you'll probably find out for yourselves. But he's a player I do really like the look of, and hopefully he has a future at Arsenal. I didn't predict he would, but the fact that he has agreed extension at Arsenal does show that there is intent to keep him at the club. Um, and I do believe that William Saliba could be the future of Arsenal in that centre back area, because he is so talented. He won the French League Young Player of the Season, which is a very prestigious award in that country. It is taken very seriously, and the fact that he has won that shows that Arsenal have got a very serious player in their hands. So I'm very happy with that one. Bukayo Saka, on the other hand, I'm not sure he'll sign that extension now. I think he'll be one that will take a bit of time. But I'm happy that we are offering an extension. We are trying to be quick on this. We're not trying to let this go into the last year, because obviously that is a very dangerous thing to do. I think he's into his last 2 years. But we need to be very careful with Bukayo Saka, because players like teams like Man City will be sniffing around him next summer when he's down to 1 year. So if we can get him extended now, and then we can maybe consider Man City's offer in a year's time, would be very key. Now, if we don't get Champions League next year, I think it's pretty certain that Bukayo Saka will leave. But if we can get him extended now, I think that's a very key thing to do. He said to like the project, appreciate the project, like Mikel Arteta as a manager. So hopefully, if we can get him tied down to good money now, we wouldn't have to worry about it too much in terms of him going down to a last year. So that's what I think of that. I'm very happy he could be signing a contract extension as well, and I feel like it's very important to get these things done and out of the way before the season starts, because Arsenal, obviously in the past, have been pretty poor with doing these things. So the fact that we are moving significantly quite quickly really shows that we are trying to take this seriously, and I'm quite excited that both these players are signing extensions. William Saliba especially, because I think if we had him last season, we could have made top four. What does it mean for Ben White? Well, obviously he could play right back. We saw him do that the other day. Takehiro Tomiyasu, his calves look like they're made of glass, aren't they? And Cedric, he's here and there. He's an okay player. But maybe Mikel Arteta could prefer Ben White at right back. And I think we saw the other day that Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White could all be fitted into a starting 11 if need be. And I don't think that's the worst idea either, because on their day, all three of them are pretty decent players. I think it's a good one. So I'm excited to see how that one works out, how we start against Crystal Palace. But that is the news on William Saliba, that he has agreed a contract extension, and on Bukayo Saka, we have offered a deal, and let's see what comes of that one. The next bit of news is on Lucas Paqueta. Now, as we know, there have been many rumours circulating around the internet on Lucas Paqueta. Now, he's a player that Arsenal reportedly have been interested in him, and rumours have been flying around a bit. Now, I've come on here and said that they are all false, and Edu has now echoed what I've mentioned before, as he has spoken on Lucas Paqueta. So I want to read you guys out what he said. Arsenal director Edu Gaspar tells TNT Sports Brazil, "I really like Paqueta. I'm a big fan since a long time, but as of today, the reality is that there's not even a conversation to sign him. There's nothing, as we have many players in that position. That's it. Can't say more." So everything I've been saying, we've got many players in that position. Even Edu has come out and said that. So I couldn't have been more correct on this deal. So nothing's going on with Lucas Paqueta, as Edu has said. I think because he's Brazilian, Edu probably likes him. He probably is an admirer, and Edu's probably an admirer of all Brazilian players. It's normal. But there's not even a conversation to sign him, as Edu have said. As I've said many times, there's many players in his position: Vieira, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and he's not a right winger either. So the whole necessity to need him is just unfathomable, because we don't need him. So that's it on Lucas Paqueta. Hopefully I don't have to talk about him again. Good player. Not saying he's not, but we're not signing him. So that is it on Lucas Paqueta. I don't want to waffle too much about him. But if you have enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. Turn on the post notification bar if you have enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.